and welcome to another episode of Living with It. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite make, Yamaha. More specifically, the Yamaha R6. This is one of my favorite 600cc motorcycles and I've ridden this particular bike quite a lot. So I'm very well versed about what's what on this bike. So without wasting any more time, let's go and chat about this bike. Let's go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have before us is a wolf in a sheep's clothing. This particular motorcycle is a 600cc, but it can give 1000cc a run for its money in the right hands. So, 1998 was the year when Yamaha launched the first model of the R6 into the market. I was never really a big fan of the R6 as I was always drawn towards the CBRs up until 2006 when Yamaha launched this particular motorcycle. I mean, look at it. Wow! The sharp lines and the muscular look with the twin headlamps and the ram air intakes and the tiny tail. I mean, this bike looks beautiful. It's a 10-year-old design, but still it looks like the current lineup of motorcycles. The way I see it, this was the transition point for all the R6s. From this point onwards, all the motorcycles started to become small and compact. I mean, if you look at this motorcycle compared to the previous generation of the R6, the tank is extremely compact, the tail is compact, and this bike weighs in only at 160 kilograms dry, which is extremely light for this sort of a motorcycle. For example, if you look at the seat, the back seat of this bike, it's as big as two of my palms. I mean, you're not going to get any Kardashians on the back of this motorcycle. So, now let's talk a little bit about the engine of this bike. R6 is equipped with 600cc inline-4 liquid-cooled engine which delivers an output of about 125 odd horsepower, which is extremely good for a 600cc motorcycle. Now this bike is a track monster. It's like a track bike for the streets as the power opens up after 8,000. This bike has a red line of 17,500 RPM, which is Formula 1 territory. So if you want to enjoy riding the R6, you have to ride it in the higher revs, as in the low and the mid range, the bike is not that great. It's a little slow and it lacks the power you need. But once you cross that 8,000 RPM band, it just goes like a... But with all that power, we need to get the bike to a standstill, so we need good brakes. And let me tell you guys, the R6 has some amazing brakes. It stops on a dime, as it's not a heavy motorcycle. It comes to a standstill very soon. Now let's talk a little bit about the handling of this motorcycle. It is a very light motorcycle, like I mentioned before. It is designed to carve through corners. This bike is built for that. Now for someone like me who's riding 1000cc plus motorcycles, this bike is like a toy. We can just corner the bike very easily. But don't get me wrong, this is a very serious motorcycle, so it's not to be misused. You have to ride it responsibly. Suspension, again, this bike is a track monster, so as the rule goes, harder the suspension, better the handling. This bike has got a hard suspension for the track. So on Indian roads, it can toss you a little bit, but you need to get used to riding this bike. It's relatively easy to maintain this bike as it shares a lot of components with its bigger brother, the R1. For example, the pegs. The pegs are the same as the R1, the brake lever is the same as the R1, the turn signals are the same, the mirrors are the same, even the instrument cluster is the same. And a lot of other mechanical components on the bike is the same. For example, with this particular bike, we needed to change the starter relay. So it was the same as the R1. The oil filter is also the same. So it's relatively easy to maintain as all these basic parts are available at the Yamaha showroom in India. So it's about time we introduce the owner of this bike. So Nitin, come on in.
Hey, what's up, man?
So this right here is Nitin, who's the owner of this beautiful bike, and he's a very good friend of mine. Now let me tell you something about this guy. He is a complete R6 fanatic.
Yes.
His previous bike was also an R6 2002? 2002 model, and his previous bike was not an R6 but a Charisma modified as an R6. So he is a complete R6 fanatic.
Absolutely.
So Nitin, let's talk a little bit about this bike. Oh wait, before that, let's talk about how we met.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's a wonderful story.
So it's a small story, I'm going to share it with you guys. So one of my friends was looking for a 600cc bike and we were out riding in the night on Carter Road and we see this beautiful 600cc pass by. So we decided to chase it and speak to the owner. And the owner happens to be this guy over here. So it was night time and we were just out for a leisure ride. So we were wearing a shorts and slippers and we were riding a Pulsar. So we just went and started speaking to this guy and the amount of attitude this guy was throwing was like crazy, like oh my god, कि these guys ये साले Pulsar पे आए हैं और मेरे से R6 लेने की बात कर रहे हैं.
Obviously, those locals, you know, when you ride a sports bike and you know the Pulsar, the KTM, they are right behind you. अरे ये कौन सा bike है, कितना देती है, क्या है? It's like, you know, it's the same thing.
So I told Nitin that I have a couple of super bikes, so why don't you come and we can ride together or you can come and see some of my bikes. So he definitely didn't believe it. बोला फेंक रहे साले, काय का super bike Pulsar पे आए हैं. So then finally one day he came to my garage and what was the reaction? Please share it.
My goodness, the moment he opened the shutter, I was in a complete shock. R1 is standing, one KTM is standing, one 1300 FJR is standing. Oh my god, I was like zapped completely.
By the way, my god was not his reaction, it was some other thing, but I can't mention it on the blog over here. So let's start this segment of living with it.
Yes.
So Nitin, I want to ask you a couple of questions for the viewers. So how long have you owned this bike for?
I think it has been 2 years I own this bike.
So
It is beautiful to be with
right,
R6 on.
right. We would like you to share your experience about this bike.
Oh, it was a very tough experience. बोलते हैं ना 7 पहाड़ खोद के मैंने इसको निकाला है. It is very difficult to get a clean R6. Everywhere 600cc is a grey segment. It is very difficult to get a clean
very
bike.
true.
Yes. It was a tough thing to take a decision, go and check everything, the documentation and all those things. After that only I finally got my true love.
That's true guys, that's absolutely true. So Nitin, now I would like you to share some positive points of the R6, positive points of owning the R6.
Oh, it doesn't heat up easily. I mean, it takes a little bit of time. You can ride it. It's not that every time it heats up and you have to reach anywhere very fast. It's just like you can take your time and it's a 600cc. You can ride every day. It is an absolutely everyday bike.
As a matter of fact, he rides the bike every day to work.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely. My colleagues are they're gone half mad looking at this guy coming on R6 and every day.
So basically guys, the 600cc has a power which is usable. Unlike the 1000cc's where it's very difficult to use even 10% of the potential of the bike.
Correct.
In a nutshell.
Absolutely.
So why don't we share the negatives now?
Negatives.
Negatives of the bike.
I have to think half an hour to get one negative point. No, in there's only one thing. When you take for a long ride, you get cramps basically. I mean, your wrist is paining.
But it's a small price to pay.
Absolutely. There's no price at all.
Right. So now Nitin, let's talk about what's what on the bike. So explain the viewers what have you done to
Yes.
the bike.
I have put this Two Brothers exhaust silver series, as you can see, and then I have just added these frame sliders, and I have put this chrome levers, and I have this chrome visor.
So he likes his bling, basically.
Yeah, I like the bike shining.
Now Nitin, I want to ask you something. Out of 10, what would you rate your experience about living with this bike?
I would definitely rate it nothing less than 8.
Nothing less than 8.
Yes.
So that's again a very high score of living with an R6. Now guys, if you want to buy a 600cc motorcycle, there are a few aspects you must remember before purchasing one. First and foremost, 600cc's are not officially imported into India.
Yes.
So make sure that the documents are clean because a lot of bikes were imported illegally. So
Yes.
please get that checked first and don't buy it blindly. Secondly, it's a 600cc bike, so they tend to be a stepping stone to jump onto a 1000cc bike.
Correct.
So most of these bikes have been abused and badly maintained and crashed. So get it checked with a mechanic so that you don't have to spend a lot of money on repairing the bike. Now, the final thing what you have to remember is the pricing of the bike. Now, this particular model is a 2007 and a clean bike with good documents will sell somewhere around 6.5 to 7 lakhs.
Yes.
It's an expensive price The only reason is that Yamaha does not officially import the R6 to India. I don't know why. Yamaha should definitely import because we already have a buyer lined up over here. So guys, now with all that said, I just have to ask Nitin one last question. That is, Nitin, can we take this bike for a ride?
Oh yes, all yours. Have fun, bro.
So here, there you go. I've got the word from the man. So let's go for a ride, guys. Let's go. It's been an absolute fun experience riding this bike. I would like to thank the owner Nitin for bringing this bike and showing it to us. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it, comment on it. I will reply back. Till the next time guys, keep the rubber side down, over and out. Bye for now.